Hello and welcome to a occupation tier list. I'll be going over every single job in the game and ranking them in a tier list, and also giving you a quick explanation on why they're ranked in certain ways. But I also want to do a disclaimer that I'll try to be as objective as I can and give you all the information that I know of. And a lot of people will have their own play styles and how they play, so take this with a grain of salt and just build your character the way it fits your play style. Anyway, let us get into the first occupation. The first one we have on the list, I put in alphabetical order. The first one we have is burger flipper. So I'll be placing this in B rank. Short blade is a decent skill to have. It has low stamina drain, and at 4 nimble, you could also like machine gun stab a group of zombies easily. The downside is to using short blades is the clothes that they're wearing will be destroyed. Cooking is an amazing skill for late game. At level 7 you could use rotten food to make meals. You could also gain more from food as well. In my winter survival guide, +7 is recommended to prepare yourself for winter. Food is an issue with a high cooking level. Plus maintenance is one of the most useful skills to have in the game, so any EXP in it is good. Next up we have burglar, which is an instant S rank. The reason being is hot wiring cars in the start of the game is massive. Grinding the stats needed to hot wire is a very long and hard process, but with burglar it doesn't have to be. And also nimble is so slow to train and is one of the best skills in the game, alongside with maintenance. With level 4 nimble you can actually aim, move back and keep your distance always with zombies, so it's so good. Sneaking and light-footed are very good skills as well. Me personally, I don't sneak around, but it doesn't mean that the skills are not good, just not my style of gameplay, which is more, let me get in their face and smash every single zombie I see. Next up we have carpentry, which is a solid B, to be honest. And with books and breaking down only beds while you're looting, you could skip life and living and have it maxed out in less than a month with just only reading books and breaking down beds. Also, +1 short blunt is very nice, the most common weapon type in the game, and it does decent damage. Moving on to chef, which I will have to put into C tier. It's pretty much the same as burger flipper, but instead of having 2 extra points, it costs -4 points. And for the extra point for cooking, it's just not worth it. Cooking, you don't need to rush. You have months to prepare and leave it for later on to prepare yourself for winter. Next up we have construction worker. See, with this I'm quite torn between A and S. I think it's a solid A pick for sure, but short blunt is the most common weapon type and hammers are pretty powerful with pipe wrenches and so on. Starting at level 3 with all of the juicy EXP bonus you get to the weapon type, you will have no problems from day 1 killing zombies at the start, and by the time you get a month or 2 months in, you'll be 1 or 2 hitting zombies with a hammer. So it's very good, combat ready, and also you get carpentry +1 bonus in it, so it's a very strong occupation to go for. Next up on the list is doctor, and unfortunately first aid just doesn't really have a place in the game so far. It's a easy F pick for me, and the reason being is first aid you don't use that much. With infections on, a scratch could easily be GG before you even really train the skill, and even with infections off, it's still not that useful. And +1 short blade is meh, but honestly it's not a good pick. Next up we have electrician, which for me is a no-brainer F tier. The only reason being is outside of +1 for hot wiring, there is no other use for electrician. I mean, who wants to make radios and remotes? It's not that useful, and to be able to use a generator on day 1 is not worth it because you still have electricity and you could easily hit up a bookstore or get lucky finding in a mailbox or in a house. Is just not worth it. Now, engineering, I'm gonna put this in C tier. Only reason is for the memes, because you can mess around with bombs and stuff, but it's not useful other than that. The only reason I'm not placing it in F tier is purely because you can have, troll around throwing bombs and stuff, but other than that, it's not that useful. Now, onto farmer. Same as like electrician, like having skill boost is always lovely, but farming is a stat that only gives you more information on your plants and your crops and how they're doing. But if you have good regular maintenance care and just looking after them in general, you don't really need the boosted exp. The skill itself is useful, but needing extra points for day one is not needed at all. Now Fireman is one of those S tiers. The reason being is the best class for beginners to use. Throw on athletic, strong, and you have a maxed out strength and fitness character with more weight carry plus running faster. Just an awesome strong build for all characters, just an absolute unit. And if you start in Rosewood, you have a chance to spawn at the fire stations, one of the best places in that city, so it's a no-brainer for me. S rank. Next one is Fisherman, another F rank skill for me, and it might be close to C rank, but it's really not needed. You could just read books, get a fishing rod, level it, and the only time you really need fishing is when you run out of food and you need proteins, and farming is just not doing it for you. But you could just do trapping as well to get meat, so it's an okay skill, because fishing is a bit hard to level, but for day one you don't need it at all. Next up we have fitness instructor. I would say it's a solid B, high tier B. It's good, but it costs so much points, and nutritionist isn't really needed, since if you cook decent meals a day, like every day, and you get more cooking levels, you won't really have issues with losing and gaining weight. If you want fitness points, then just pick athletics. You're better off doing it that way. Up next we have Lumberjack. So this is low B tier for sure. The +1 strength is nice, the +2 axe skill is good, but Axeman only speeds up the how fast you chop trees, and honestly that's not really useful, since if you're chopping trees you're doing it in an area where you cleared out the zombies, and after a certain amount of axe skills, I think 7 or 8, you could honestly chop down a tree faster by swinging at it instead of right click chop down. Next up we have mechanic. F tier, maybe low, super low, C tier, borderline F tier. The reason being, it's not a useful skill. You only need level 2 to hotwire, and if you're wondering, but you could repair cars, which is good. Sadly, repairing cars is not worth it in this game. At level 10 mechanic skill, you only get a 3 to 4% condition boost on per engine parts, and which means that you need to sacrifice about 34 to 25 cars to fix one up. You're just better off finding a new car that's in decent condition. By the time you destroy, 30 cars, you will have found 5, 7, 8 or even 10 cars that are in, really good condition with 80% on the engine, so not worth it. Now we have Metalworks. See, most of these skill boosting ones I'll put into F tier. The only reason is, especially with Metalworks, it's super late game, but if you clear your area, you don't really need to upgrade your base that heavily to have, metal barricades. So it's useful for repairing cars, like the hoods and stuff, but even still, it's not worth having when you could go for, burglar or something better. Next up we have the nurse, which is is same as doctor pretty much. Is F tier. First aid doesn't really have a place in the game right now, and with this you get one light-footed, and light-footing sneaking is super easy to level in the game, so it's not even worth picking up or looking at it. Next up we have park ranger. I'll put it on B. It is a solid pick. You get 1 in carpentry, 2 in foraging, and 2 in trapping, and also the recipes. But if you're playing in winter, this would definitely be an A tier to help you survive with trapping. And you could move faster in forest, so you could easily live outside the city. But yeah, depends on if you're in the summer, you could put it to B. If you're in the winter, at A tier. It really depends when you're playing it. And next up we have the police officer, which is a solid C tier for sure. Aiming is easy to get up. in the game, especially with a shotgun. You could just power level it. But the nimble bonus is always nice. That's why it gets a solid C pick. But other than that, it just costs way too much points. Reloading is, you know, a skill that's not really needed since your walking speed is faster than a zombie. So even if you don't reload at lightning speeds, it's okay, you know. Take your time, don't rush, and yeah, solid C pick. Now moving on to Repairman. The Repairman for me is S tier. I mean, I'm currently playing a forever challenge with the Repairman, and the +2 maintenance, +1 in carpentry, and short blunt is just amazing combination. Maintenance is just mwah, the best skill you could have. Any boosted EXP in it is wonderful, and since it's so hard to level, it's just amazing to have that extra EXP bonus to it. And what you get from it is you save conditions on your weapons. Like you could stretch your weapons out so much further out, especially in the beginning. If you find a hammer with you know, Repairman, that is gonna last you for a long time. Next up we have security. C tier? Yeah, C tier. Simply because sprinting isn't that useful. You're better off having more fitness than sprinting, and light-footedness again is very easy to level up. And Night Owl is just a worse version of Wakeful, which is only 2 points. So yeah. Now Unemployed, I'll give it A tier. You get 8 points to spend however you like, but honestly, some of the combos you get with jobs, you're just better off doing it that way. But it is a good solid pick for sure. Then the Veteran, the last but not least, it's a B tier for me, a very solid B tier. Desensitize allows you to never panic, and without getting panic, you can deal the max damage with your weapons and also guns. Panic reduces the damage, so keep that in mind. Me personally, I'm fine with being in a panic state since you could build up a bit of resistance against it after a few months of living. And I'm confident in my combat skills, so taking a few extra hits to kill a zombie is alright with me. But you know what, if this job was a bit cheaper in terms of like cost, then it would definitely be a or S tier for sure. Thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe if you enjoyed.